So Liverpool beat Girona 1-0 and stay top of the Champions League pile. Danny, what's going on with your old club? This is phenomenal, is it not? 6 wins out of 6, just 1 goal conceded along the way in Europe this season. Front runners domestically and in Europe. They've really, have they not, got to be considered favourites for both? Before we hear Danny, club legend, this is Slot.
If you ask me about all the 6 games, I'm really pleased with all the results. I'm really pleased with the 5 games, the way we played. I'm far from pleased about the performance tonight. Every time we lost the ball, we were not aggressive enough. So every time we lost the ball, they could just almost every time go all the way to our goal, having a shot or a blocked shot, and then we could attack again. So hardly any control at all over the game. Maybe the second half was a bit better, but yeah, I'm trying to be positive.
I like that, is having a little dig along the way. But honestly, at the moment, Danny, are they favourites in your eyes for both competitions, Champions League and Premier League?
Well, they are on current form. The reality is that, come February, March, form can kind of change, and confidence and momentum can have changed. So we'll have to wait and see. They need a bit of luck with keeping their best players fit, like all the best teams do. We've seen that with Arsenal. Even Odegaard missing was a blow. City have had injuries. They're struggling because of it. So Liverpool need a little bit of luck. I mean, they weren't great last night. Liverpool have got this wonderful firepower that can win games when they don't play well. I mean, even at Newcastle, when they drew 3-3, they didn't play particularly well, but just kept creating chances because they're terrifying that front line. I think the other thing is they conceded a couple at Southampton, 3 at Newcastle. Canati was playing the best football of his career, and he got injured. And although I like Gomez, and I think he's really steady, he's not quite got the presence that Canati has, and that's been a little bit of a change in their defensive stability.
I mean, we're always told, Danny, every team hits a rough patch. But when is that coming? Doesn't seem to be on the horizon.
Let's hope it doesn't. But it depends what a rough patch is as well. Is a few draws a rough patch? It's so competitive. I was talking to Luke off air, and the reality is, even if Liverpool draw, if City or Arsenal go and win 13-14 on the spin, which they're both capable of doing, and Liverpool have a 2 or 3 game wobble, it can change because of another team's brilliance.
But there's no signs of that.
No signs at the minute. No. I mean,
Simon Slot seems to be rewriting recent history regards Dutch managers in England, Ten Hag, De Boer. But is this a perfect storm for him to succeed? Because is he fortunate that this is a season that City have been so poor?
Yeah, ultimately it's not really about City. It's about what Liverpool are doing. Because I think even if City were on blob, I think Liverpool would still be there. So it's really about what Liverpool have decided to do. I think it's also probably the end of last season was probably a false economy about what they were really capable of, because a lot of people anticipated that they would kick on post Klopp's announcement for a variety of reasons, the emotion and the sentimentality.
Well, they did initially, didn't they?
And then they lost their way. And really what's happened now is Slot has had the embarrassment of riches. He's come into an environment which is in no way broken and just needed perhaps a different voice now with a different viewpoint, and just to point it in the right direction, because I don't think he's done anything particularly dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have sophisticated and refined a little bit and taken some of the edges off of the rock and roll mentality that maybe Jurgen Klopp had. But right now, they've got a perfect storm. They've got a brilliant Champions League. I mean, teams winning games against Girona when you don't have to. I mean, they're done. They're home and hosed. Yeah. They're in the next. They're in the next rounds without having to really do anything in the next rubbers.
That's why the level dropped a little bit.
Yeah, but he doesn't want that, because he'll want them to keep it a level of intensity.
Yeah.
So all things. But listen, they will get beat. Someone will come along and beat them. Someone that we don't expect to beat them. They've got a quarter-final of the EFL against Southampton. They've got Spurs coming up on the 22nd of December. Someone's going to beat them. Nottingham Forest beat them. We'll see what happens when they get some adversity. Right now, it's pretty much been a straight line of success, and fair play to them.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out trophy laden at the end of the season, in his debut season, does that ramp up the pressure on the likes of Arteta, who's had various attempts at it?
Well, if you're talking about Liverpool winning the league in his first season and then Arteta failed, yeah, of course it would.
Yeah.
Depending on how it's won. If it was to go to the last day and Arsenal missed out with a bit of bad luck, it's more acceptable. I always use those analogies because it's relevant in its context. But yeah, of course. If a manager walks into Liverpool after Jurgen Klopp, when nobody gave him a prayer, and wins the league, that's going to put pressure on the others. I mean, the only person probably not under pressure is Maresca at Chelsea, because nobody expected them to be flying the way they are.
I know he's gone now, Simon, but would it eclipse Klopp's one and only league title legacy?
Well, will it eclipse it? No, I mean, Klopp was a unique force for Liverpool because at that period of time, post Brendan Rodgers and the disappointment, I think, of the 13-14 season, then the flatlining of the 14-15, and then the poor start to the 15-16, Liverpool were in a strange sort of flux, and Klopp got hold of them. You've got to remember, I think the first 3 finals that Klopp had, he lost. And he had time and a feel-good factor that he had the ability to communicate with both the media and the Liverpool fan base to give him the platform to build from.
Yeah.
But it was something unique about Klopp because Klopp's got so much charisma that despite my observations, and I know people don't like it, he has gotten a pretty decent record, but it's not stellar. And
No.
he walks away with this massive reputation because of the value that he brought to Liverpool and because of the style that Liverpool were. I've always made the point that if I were to choose between watching Man City and Liverpool, I would prefer to watch Liverpool because it's more feral, it's more dynamic, it's more exciting, whereas Man City is very sophisticated and slick.
Just on that, it's one of the other reasons he's loved and classed as so successful, because even those years where they didn't win the league, I think they had 3 seconds or record points twice.
It was all on.
2 Champions League finals they lost.
Yeah.
So if you're competing at the top every year, the fans can see the progression.
Yeah.
So the trophy, you're right in terms of trophies won, but in terms of progression, it's a bit like Arsenal fans. They're all behind Arteta because they can see what's happening.
But Klopp never had a Manchester City falling off a cliff. Slot has.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. I think they will regain their poise. But notwithstanding that, I mean, Arsenal are still in decent nick.
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool are winning it not because Man City are not doing it. They're winning it because they're winning their games. They're currently leading the league based upon their own individual merits. I mean, interesting thing for you,
There's Ben, a Liverpool fan. Is it not now apparent, Simon, that Klopp was holding Liverpool back?
No, I don't think that's right.
No.
I think perhaps the last 6 months of his tenure were in conjunction with his lack of energy, and maybe the players had reached the end of their threshold with him after 9 years. And in comes a new guy with a different perspective. To go to your question, I don't know. Increases the pressure on Arteta from whom? It might
From
ramp
the
up.
Arsenal fans, I think.
Will it?
Yeah.
I mean, if Arsenal don't win the league this year, but they are very competitive.
Yeah.
Did I say it, the media?
Well, yeah. I mean, is it going to? The main pressure will come from inside the club in terms of will the fans be disappointed?
It's how you lose it, isn't it?
That's what it's how you exactly. And will the board be looking at it going, we've given you 5 years, you've won an FA Cup, you've knocked on the door, and all of a sudden, through the back door almost, Liverpool have come in and taken it away from us. What's going on here? I don't think that will happen at Arsenal.
No, and also the Champions League run's relevant. You know,
Yeah.
if they were to go out in the first knockout stage and finish third in the league, 12 points behind the winners, there's questions.
It might be good to hear from you Liverpool fans this morning, because the way it's going, it's all pointing to success. Do they now have to be considered favourites for the Premier League and the Champions League?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.